Hey everybody, how's it going? It's August 3rd, 2014. Hope you guys are having a great day. And as you see from the title, there are some changes to the podcast coming once again. So since 2012, there's been over about 100 episodes here. It's been a mainly interview format show. And to be honest, it's bored me out of my mind, and I enjoy talking to the guests, but as far as like the creative aspect of how things go, it's no longer fulfilling, and it's actually gotten kind of boring for me. So to help with that, I actually asked my mastermind group what they would suggest. Kind of been feeling down about this for a bit, and so they said just add a co-host and to switch things up a little bit, and so that's what we're doing. So why a co-host? One, I think the interview format is kind of commoditized, like I said earlier. Just because a guest comes on my show, they can go on someone else, and really, I think it kind of becomes a circle jerk when they talk about the same content. It's not that they're bad or anything, it's just that, say they come out with a book or they talk about their store. Really, what they talk about here is pretty much what they'll talk about anywhere else too. And so in terms of content being different, really there's no space for that, just because kind of the format lends itself to this kind of content. So two, having a co-host also allows me to go deeper into certain topics. So the new co-host, I'm not going to reveal who he is yet. I'll kind of keep it a mystery. So you'll just have to tune in next week. He's also another e-commerce store owner. So I think with the back and forth dialogue, both of us, what we're going through, there'll be much more behind the scenes stuff that we can talk about rather than a service level interview. And we can really go into the nitty gritty details of having your own store, what's working, what isn't working, things we're going to try out, and we'll also be held accountable. We say we're going to do this, but we don't. You guys can call us out on that. So that'll be pretty interesting. And also three, most of my energy is spent on my own store now. It's not really where I want it to be at in terms of sales and profitability. So I've been focusing more on that stuff. The big project I'm focusing on there is the content strategy. Basically, I'll be making YouTube videos that feature interesting stories where the target market is interested in. And so this is basically guys in their 30s or older with careers in finance, public policy, media, travel, or academics. So if you read the magazine Monocle, kind of upscale men's publication that deals with politics, business, life, entrepreneurship, all that stuff, it's kind of towards this audience. And they say it's one of the most pretentious magazines in the world. I think it's actually kind of cool. Like, they're all really thick, well-written content. It's about probably 150 pages per edition. So we'll see how this goes. And so if you've seen the channel Vsauce on YouTube, that's along the lines of that, where they share mind-blowing facts but add a twist of personality into it. So I guess the next question is why video instead of, say, blogging, another podcast, or something like that? So one, I think video lends itself better to more advanced storytelling tools. So rather than just pictures, you can also have sound effects, facial gestures, B-roll clips, a lot of more things in your arsenal that you can play around with to kind of tell a story. And I think two, there's also a backlash from the mainstream media. If you look at the stuff you see on CNN, NBC, Fox News, Financial Times, whatever, it's all pretty standard vanilla programming without much personality. It's kind of just the news as it is, in a bland way. Yeah, you have some personalities like, Alex Jones or, different people on different sides of the spectrum. But I think most of all, it's just big companies shoving content down people's throat. And most importantly, you don't know if the voice can be trusted or if it's something you even associate with. So I think if you look at the newer forms of media, the Young Turks, Philip DeFranco, even Vice News, they've gotten a lot of traction because of kind of the underground way they've been reporting, due to the personality or just the quality of stories that they share that the mainstream media usually doesn't focus on. And I think now you're seeing consumers of content are becoming very smart. They're not going to take anything that's kind of boring, mainstream. They're looking for something that's new, that's edgy, that's cool, that's kind of interesting. And so the third reason I'm doing video is that I'm terrible at writing. I'm much better at talking here. So in terms of skill set alignment, I don't like writing blog posts. You notice there's probably very few articles here on Build My Online Store, and the ones that I did write that are, say, 1,500 to 2,000 words or more, they usually take me 2 to 3 days to write, and I just don't like it. So I'd much rather do something like this, talk to a microphone or talk in front of a camera where I can just use my normal voice and kind of take things from there. All right, so this show that I'm doing is called Baller's Briefing. Basically, it's content that makes you a smarter person, helps you understand the world around you better, and it has a short pitch of the store in the end, or ballerleather.com. So the target length is under 5 minutes every week. At least right now, there's a theme that ties all the stories together. So just to give you an example of one episode I'm writing, one topic that we're going to talk about is about Japanese origami, and you know how you can fold a crane with it? Well, basically, how is that used in space technology? So if you think about the International Space Station, it's been floating out there since like 2000. How did they get the solar panels out there in the first place? So it turns out in the early 1990s, no, actually the 1970s, a Japanese astrophysicist discovered that he could use Japanese origami, the way you fold cranes and other things, into folding solar panels. So how do you put it in a rocket that saves time and space from assembling it and making sure it all works together? So they actually named this fold the Miura fold. And what's unique about it is that you can collapse and expand a piece of paper or something that's flat with just one direction of force. So if you've ever bought a map from a convenience store, kind of how it just unfolds really easily, it's kind of like that. And so in space, when you have a solar panel that's folded up, all you need to do is just monitor one dimension of force when you expand the panel, rather than, finding your screws, your bolts and hammers, trying to do this all in space, which would take who knows how long with the physics and zero gravity in there. So turns out actually in nature, there are certain things that follow this concept too. If you look at the fold on the paper, I don't have it with me now, but if you go Google images, Miura fold, the creases look like a parallelogram in mathematics. And basically what they found was that the wing bases of the dragonfly also follows this concept, with similar creases in their wings. And it turns out when they change from a larva to a dragonfly, their wings also have to develop inside a tight cocoon, very similar to how a solar panel must be folded inside a rocket. So a pretty cool story there. There you have it. Is your mind blown? It's kind of a cool topic to talk about with some friends. Things like that. So that's what the whole channel will be about. For folks that are into celebrity gossip, low quality things, they probably can't handle this, and that's fine. That's not who this is for. So if you want to check this out, there's only 2 videos up so far at the time of this recording in August 2014. It's at youtube.com/ballersbriefing. And that's the plan right now. Planning to publish every Thursday. Depending on the workflow, I might try to do it twice a week, but right now it's kind of challenging just starting out. I realize the hard part of videos is getting the script written. Actually recording and editing is quite easy as long as you know what the flow is look like. You have your shot list, you know what content you're going to talk about. If you just try to wing it, it doesn't really work. So from the research I've done, the backlog of content is really where the bulk of traffic from YouTube comes from. So say the channel you subscribe to, once you find them, usually you check out 2 or 3 other videos you have before you subscribe, and most of the times you'll scroll through, look at the thumbnail, see if there's a title that catches your eye, and then you click through and then you watch it. Well, when you're starting out, when you only have like 2 or 3 videos, there's really not much on the buffet list for people to choose from. So that's kind of what I realized looking at other people that have done video blogs, reading interviews where they've done, kind of how they grew their channels. And things like that. And I think video is really exciting because if you look at how everyone's watching video, like on the subway, on the bus, with their phone, tablet, laptop, things like that, I think it's the next kind of uncovered wave to kind of put content on. And kind of blogging will still be there, but I think video has more potential probably down the line. And really, I have no idea how this is going to work out, so take this with a grain of salt, and then we'll see in 6 months if this podcast is true or not. So that's it for me this week. Catch you guys next time. Take care. Go out there and crush it. We'll have a co-host next week. Stay tuned for who he is. Really excited for this. And see you guys around. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Build My Online Store podcast. If you want the show notes, make sure to check out the website at buildmyonlinestore.com. And if you got an e-commerce store, every 2 weeks I lead a live mastermind call with about 5 or 6 of the listeners in 2 separate groups where we work openly together and solve a business problem that you have. And we're all there to support each other. So if this sounds like your cup of tea, make sure to check us out at buildmyonlinestore.com/mastermind. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch up with you guys next week.